So, in true Stephen Covey file, I'm going to start with the end in mind and look at the structure of the person-centred portfolio that we're working towards today. So this is my list of all the files that I've been given, and this is what we want to get it to. So when we finish this, at the very top of your information will be a one-page profile. And that's like an executive summary of who the person is. Some of the information in the one-page profile will be repeated here. But if you're on shift and you've only got 5 minutes to know the person because you've been pulled from one place to another, or your agency staff, we need to know that we can give people information that in 5 minutes they can get a good understanding of the person. Not good enough having read through all of this, but a snapshot of who the person is. So when I was doing this for Bill, there wasn't a one-page profile, but after I'd been through it and sorted, it was pretty clear which information we could pull out to be a one-page profile. So that's part of what success will look like, is at the top of your file, there'll be a one-page profile. Under our 3 usual headings, what we appreciate about the person, what's important to them, and the really most significant things that we need to do to support the person well. Underneath that, we're then expanding the what matters to the person section, what's important to them from their perspective. And of course, the big thing here is it's from the person's perspective. So this is likely to include relationships, the people who matter to the person, and if you have a relationship circle, that's where that will go. And it's also likely to include the places that matter to the person. So if you have a community map or an inclusion web, that's where that will go as well. So all the things that matter to the person goes there. Underneath that, we have what's important to the person in the future. So if the person has a path or a map, you can then take the information from the practical and possible, or the North Star, and put it into there. And the same with map as well. So any kind of futures work that you've done with the person, whether they have hopes and dreams that the person's already articulated, you will be capturing that there as well. When I was looking through Bill's, there wasn't any information about his history, but I know that some of the people that you support will have history maps or timelines or detailed information about their past, and that information will go in there. So this isn't something that you will refer to on a day-to-day basis, but it's such important information about the person that we want to make sure it doesn't get lost. This is not the service history of the person. This is not different ways that we've tried to support the person that may or may not have worked. This will be the kind of information you have about yourselves or your children or your parents, about its biography, its key milestones in the person's life and key events from their perspective. So that is the section there that reflects what matters to the person, their lifestyle choices and preferences, what they're hoping for in the future, and where they've been in the past. And then the next section here is all the information that we have about how best to support the person. So that's likely to include how we communicate with the person, so any speech and language therapy information will go there. It's likely to include what we know about the best people to support the person. So if you've got matching staff, it will go in there as well. And up to there, that's the 10, 15 pages that I hope we can pull together, which is the essence of what matters to the person now, in the future, and what you need to do to support the person. And what that is really is your job description. What is it that staff need to be doing on a day-by-day, hour-by-hour, week-by-week basis? So that's that. Underneath there is the information you'll be capturing on a day-to-day basis. So some of the information that I saw about Bill are different ways of recording learning and progress. I think it's easiest if we have one approach to doing that, and that could be the learning log, and we'll talk about that as well. So that's pretty much static information, and the way that that gets updated and we make sure we get actions from it is in the action and learning section. Now I know that you're rolling out person-centred reviews, and this is where the information here will be reviewed. We'll be asking the person from their perspective, and from your perspective, and from family's perspective, and from others' perspective, that if this is important to you, what's working and not working about this now? How much of that is happening? In terms of how you're supported, what's working and not working about that now? What are the questions to answer and the things that we've still got to figure out because we're not quite sure of it? And then in the person-centred review process, we'll be taking that to action and saying, what does this tell us we need to be doing, who's going to be doing it, by when, and what does this tell us we need to be doing about updating this? And I'll be doing a session later on this afternoon about how we keep this updated. It would be awful if we spent today together working on the files this way, and then in a year's time you've just accumulated more and more underneath. So we're going to look at a process to make sure that doesn't happen later on. So we'll have actions, and that means this information is live and happening. We're doing things differently and changing the way we work based on what people are telling us is working and not working. And then underneath, it's the reference material, which will be held somewhere else. You've been my paper assistant. Thank you very much. Now I'm wondering how I'll be able to edit that out. Thank you. Is that, did the other thing go on the floor?
There's 3 boxes there on the table behind you, Joanne.
We'll add a few more in a moment. Thank you. So when we've got the actions, the other section is the reference material that we'll be keeping somewhere else. And this is the stuff that you really, really couldn't live without knowing that it's in an office somewhere. You don't ever need to refer to it on a daily or weekly basis, but you know that if somebody ever asked you about X, you'd know where you could go to find it. And on the floor, the bit you can't see is all the bit that went into recycling. But actually, we've taken the information out of that to put into here. We know we won't need that again, so actually we can recycle.